I'm Chris Craig, and I'm the third generation owner of the Robin Adair, which is a 1927 32-foot Ditchburn that was bought by my grandfather straight out of the Muskoka Gravenhurst Boat Works, probably when he departed the train before he climbed on the steamboat to come to the cottage, because that's how he and his family got here. This would have been the Louis Blake Hayes family from Pittsburgh, and they would have traveled from Pittsburgh to Toronto by train and switched over to one of the many lake boats to complete the trip to the cottage. So the boat is still in its original slip, pretty much in its original condition as it was when grandfather placed its order in 1926 and took delivery in 1927. The boat's held up pretty good. We've replaced a few planks in the bottom, and we've refinished the outside completely because we let the varnish go too much, and that would have been almost 30 years ago. So the boat's had three engines. Its current engine is a 6-cylinder Buchanan rocket put in the 1990s when the second motor, 150 horsepower, 8-cylinder Buchanan, became too worn to be repaired. And that motor was put in because grandfather probably within a few years of buying the boat decided that the original motor, likely a Sterling, threw too much oil and made the boat dirty and smelly. Now when he first had that engine put in, they took it out for sea trials. They located it about 6 inches too far forward in the boat. So as they accelerated, the front splashboards caught the water and it became like a submarine and started to plunge down towards the depth. So he immediately turned around, took it back to the shop and said, "You idiots, do it again." So that's how we ended up with the motor that we've got now. I gotta admit that, you know, I drove it for many years with a 150 horsepower motor in it, and it ran pretty good, but not fast enough for us to ski behind. We tried, but you know, we could only get out to mid-thigh. That was too tough to ski. And then when it wore out, boy, it got oil in the water, and it was 50-50 chance that it would make a complete run without failing and having to paddle it into shore. And there's nothing quite like paddling a 32-foot Ditchburn to encourage you to fix it up, because that's no fun. One thing that's kind of special about the boat is that it's got back-to-back seats, much like modern outboards. Most Ditchburns of that era would have had straight back seats and wicker chairs in the compartment. Grandmother decided that it would be much more efficient to have back-facing seats behind the front ones, and she probably should have taken out a patent at that time, because it certainly became popular when outboards and fiberglass boats were made. You know, our favorite use of the boat is to go out most evenings when the weather is good for a sunset cruise. It's kind of a between dinner and dessert practice that we'd like to do. We also like to take it at least once a year for a long picnic cruise, frequently from here in mid-Lake Muskoka to the north into Lake Joe to Blueberry Island. That's a day exercise. It was kind of neat because we could have the adults sitting in the main compartment in the back, and the kids would play under the decks in the mother-in-law seat up in the front. We'd also spend at least once a year and go to the Muskoka Lakes sailing regatta off of the Muskoka Lakes Golf Club on Lake Rosso, and that was a pleasant thing to do. We frequently use the boat for family weddings, so there's a lot of pictures of aunts and uncles and cousins getting married in the boat. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of picture for my parents, even though they got married here in this cottage in 1948. The other thing that's kind of neat is if you look closely at the bow stem, grandfather's initials are stamped into the top of the bow stem, LBH. And I guess that was the way of making sure that if somebody made off with your boat, you could identify it.